All right. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Juneteenth. It is Monday, June 19th, 2023, and welcome to the virtual CISO Moments Cybersecurity Quick Strike for Monday. We start out today from HelpNet Security, a third MOVEit vulnerability fix. CLOP lists the victims' organizations, though. So Progress Software has asked customers to update their MOVEit transfer installations again to fix a third SQL injection vulnerability. This is given the CVE of 2023-35708. This was discovered in the web application in less than a month. Previously, the CLOP cyber extortion gang exploited CVE 2023-34362 to grab enterprise data, and Huntress researchers discovered CVE 2023-35036 after partnering with Progress to perform a code review of the web app. Now, CVE 2023-35708 is a vulnerability that could lead to escalated privileges and unauthorized access. Quote from the company last Thursday, an attacker could submit a crafted payload to a MOVEit transfer application endpoint, which could result in modification and disclosure of MOVEit database content, the company said. We've not seen any evidence that the vulnerability reported on June 15th has been exploited. Meanwhile, CLOP has started disclosing the names of organizations whose data they grabbed by exploiting the CVE 2023-34362. This list includes multinational oil and gas company Shell, several banks, media companies, universities, two entities of the U.S. Department of Energy. This would be Oak Ridge Associated Universities, and a contractor at ORNL, which is Oak Ridge National Laboratory. You probably know ORNL as an acronym if you have ever lived around the Knoxville, Tennessee area, like I have. The Oregon Department of Transportation, and many more. Now, related to this, InfoSecurity Magazine reports that the U.S. Department of State has offered a $10 million reward for information linking members of a CLOP affiliate responsible for the recent data extortion campaign to a foreign government. Using the Stop Ransomware hashtag, the department issued the announcement as part of its Rewards for Justice initiative. That initiative apparently was launched in 1984 and is a program designed to boost national security by soliciting information on terrorists, North Korean activities, cyber threat actors, and election interference. Quote, do you have info linking CLOP ransomware gang or any other malicious cyber actors targeting U.S. critical infrastructure to a foreign government? Send us a tip. You could be eligible for a reward. This comes from a Twitter post. The news follows a successful CLOP campaign that we just talked about, one of them targeting users of the popular MOVEit managed file transfer service. After exploiting a 0-day vulnerability in the software, the group claims to have compromised data belonging to hundreds of organizations. Along big brand names, here's another list, is British Airways, Boots, the BBC, several U.S. government agencies are thought to be caught in the campaign in which the CLOP affiliate is attempting to extort money from its victims, threatening to leak their stolen data if they do not pay up. Sources told the Federal News Network, never heard of that one before, FNN, that tens of thousands of U.S. government workers may have had their personal information compromised as a result. However, the identity of the most impacted agencies is yet to be made public. The Department of Energy is the only concrete name revealed so far, with one source telling the news site that more will follow as MOVEit transfer is used by many agencies. And check out this important message, and we'll be right back. VCSO Catalyst is the ultimate community for cybersecurity specialists who believe in collaborating to strengthen the security of small to mid-sized businesses. Join the VCSO Catalyst today and be part of a community that shares your passion for cybersecurity, knowledge, and professional growth. Together, we can create a safer world for everyone. Visit our website at www.vcsocatalyst.org and start your journey with VCSO Catalyst today. I'm a member, and you should be too. Now, earlier in June 2023, Microsoft's flagship Office suite, including popular applications like Outlook and OneDrive, as well as its Azure cloud computing platform, experienced intermittent disruptions due to DDoS attacks. We talked about that on the podcast. Well, this coming from HackRead says that in a recent incident, Microsoft faced a series of disruptive service outages during the early days of June, not too long ago. The company's flagship Office suite, including popular applications, as we said, like Outlook and OneDrive, as well as Azure, experience intermittent disruptions. A group of hacktivists operating under the name Anonymous Sudan claimed responsibility for the attacks, which they carried out through distributed denial of service, DDoS, because you know why, attacks involving overwhelming the sites with junk traffic. Now, Microsoft has been reluctant to divulge specific details about the scale of the impact or the number of affected customers, nor did it confirm whether the disruptions were global in nature. According to Microsoft, the attackers primarily sought to cause disruption and generate publicity. It is believed that they employed rented cloud infrastructure and virtual private networks, VPNs, if you didn't know that, to launch their assault on Microsoft servers utilizing botnets comprised of compromised computers from various locations worldwide. Microsoft has assured its customers that there is no evidence to suggest any unauthorized access or compromise of user data during these attacks. Not sure about the best way to earn CPE credits to keep that certification you work so hard alive? Who wants to take the test again just because you let those certifications expire because you didn't get CPEs? Well, a recent blog post from XM Cyber is a good guide for getting and calculating CPE credits. The blog states that there are loads of different ways to earn credits, and here's a sampling. You can earn credits by attending courses like Black Hat. Well, they say courses, but I would say that should be conferences like Black Hat, RSA, etc. By going to industry conferences, webinars, seminars, workshops, and webinars, you can earn CPE credits in a relatively low effort and potentially enjoyable way. You can also earn them by listening to podcasts. Participating in cybersecurity training courses, either in person or online, is another way to get your credits. You can also volunteer in chapters of security groups, like in your particular area. If you're really adventurous, you can try authoring research papers, articles, or books in the cybersecurity domain to get your CPE credits. Or if you're really adventurous, you could host a podcast on cybersecurity. And lastly, by sharing your expertise, by teaching or mentoring others in the field, you can also qualify for credits. So get out there and get those CPEs. Don't retake that exam. Some from Cyclonus, during an examination of newly discovered files, our team of researchers, that would be Cyclonus's, not my team, came across a ransomware variant called LMAO. I like that. We know what that acronym is generally standing for. This particular malware, which is based on the Chaos ransomware, is specifically designed to encrypt data and then demand a ransom for decrypting it, like ransomware usually does. When tested in their laboratory machine, LMAO successfully encrypted various files and added the .lmao extension to the original file names. So the ransom message delivered by LMAO explicitly informs the victim that their files have been encrypted. So far, this is all your basic stuff. But here's the kicker. The price for obtaining the decryption tool, in other words, the ransom, how much you think it is? $800. $800 US in Bitcoin cryptocurrency. And that's why I wanted to share this, because you think that $800 seems a little bit on the low side. Why is that? Well, let's do a little bit of mental gymnastics here. Maybe it's because they're going with the low margin, high volume model. You figure with $800, most businesses are going to just pay that to make it go away. It's not that much, even to a small business, to make something like that go away. So that's a little bit scary, because then you can infer that if it's low margin and high volume, then there must be a market for it, meaning that there must be a lot of ways that they're able to exploit to get the ransomware on machines. So watch out for it. SC Magazine reports that the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, this week pushed back its timeline for finalizing new regulations that would require public companies to notify the agency within 4 days of a cybersecurity breach. The SEC disclosed the update in its spring 2023 unified agenda of regulatory and deregulatory actions. Financial and cybersecurity observers were expecting the rule to be finalized as early as May, but the notice indicates that the earliest possible time frame for a final rule will be in October this year. This comes after industry trade groups such as the Information Technology Industry Council, ITI, various cybersecurity vendors, NASDAQ, and public interest groups such as the Electronic Privacy Information Center, EPIC, pushed back on the language of the rules. In other cases, some groups expressed a concern over the potential duplication of a forthcoming requirement under the 2022 Cyber Incident Reporting for Critical Infrastructure Act, CERCIA, to report critical infrastructure incidents to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA. As it stands now, the proposed CERCIA law would require critical infrastructure entities to report a breach in 3 days, but would only have to report to CISA. So a little confusing there. In a June 14th report, the Atlantic Council said that many of the comments on the SEC's NPRM around breach notification focus on the short length of the 4-day disclosure period and industry concerns that the timeline applies whether or not the incident has been fully contained and remediated. Public companies would have to report a breach in the Form 8-K within 4 days once they have determined that an incident is material. And then finally, my favorite segment. This is the list. The list is when I take a list from an article that had an interesting headline and I share it with you. Sometimes it's on things that I'm more familiar with in deep cybersecurity. We all come from different areas in cybersecurity. Mine happens to be networking, where I'm very strong in historically. At least I like to think so. I can do subnet calculations in my head. Can you? But software, on the other hand, and coding, not so much. So I like sharing things that are not in my comfort zone, and this is one of them. So this comes from Legit Security, and it's new techniques attackers are using to harvest your secrets. Now, when they say secrets, they're talking about secrets in software and generally refer to any sensitive data that takes part in the software development and CI/CD processes that should be kept confidential to an organization, such as passwords, access keys, API tokens, cryptographic keys, or personally identifiable information, PII, because... So let's go through this and see if maybe I understand some of these things. Hopefully you will as well too. Number one, this is secrets and build logs. There are many CI services that help you build your software. Jenkins, I have heard of Jenkins before, Bamboo, Travis CI, and so forth. But apparently these logs can contain secrets. So that's one thing to look at. Number two, secrets and artifacts. So in the previous section, they used a CI service to build the software, which produced software artifacts. So then you store the artifact inside our registry, JFrog, Artifactory, Docker Hub, Nexus repository. Again, these are terms that are probably very familiar to some of you. For me, it's maybe I've heard of it tangentially. So you could have secrets and artifacts. Number three, secrets and documentation services, such as wikis, Confluence, SharePoint, and so on, are not exactly SDLC assets. They are frequently used to store technical data, and secrets are being shared through these services without realizing the potential damage. Now, one place I have seen this is within chat programs like Slack, where folks are sending information back and forth, which they don't really think about the fact that has this service been vetted? How secure is it? Who has access to it and who doesn't? So be careful with that. It's not like you're texting to a phone. Number four, secrets in AppSec services. The article says, as ironic as it sounds, an application security service might serve as another source of secrets leakage. Secrets leakage. They usually scan your organization's assets, so like a source code scanning. Okay, so when poorly configured, they might provide unwelcome entities with access to your most sensitive resources. Okay, I could see that. And then finally, secrets and cloud assets. Modern software ends up being deployed to a cloud-based production, most commonly running in a Kubernetes environment, possibly managed on AWS, GCP, which I believe is Google Cloud Platform, Azure, and so on. I know it's Google something. These providers offer managed storage and database services, such as Amazon's S3 buckets, where secrets are often mistakenly placed. We have heard that before. Improper S3 bucket configuration can be a big deal. So then the blog post has a list of possible prevention and remediation actions. That seems like a very good list, and I would encourage you to check the link In the show notes, as always, all of the articles that I talk about on the podcast are linked in the show notes. I don't have descriptions about them in the show notes because, quite honestly, I'm just too lazy to write them. And that's it for today. Join us tomorrow. Samuel Hill is going to join us on the virtual CISO Moment interview. Very interesting conversation that I had with him. So check that out. That will drop at 8 o'clock in the morning Central Time, as always on Tuesdays. And also, as always, stay secure.